Hello everyone and welcome to the first League of Legends class for the Intro to High Level Play for the uReddit League of Legends course. This course, I should say, is going to go over the higher level mechanics of League of Legends. So, like runes and masteries, which we're going to be covering basically today, and more advanced than another date. And then also, most likely, we're going to go over usual lane assignments, counter picks, not specifically, but how to counterpick, how to do a lot of the more advanced things that really introduce you to ranked play and whatnot. So today we're going to go over runes and masteries. So runes are things that you do before, things that you select before the game that give a number of stats to your champions that you choose. You have a set number of rune pages that you cannot edit during the game, during champion select, and not during the game either. Runes, you can purchase runes and extra rune pages at the start of League of Legends. When you just create your account, you're going to have 0 runes and 2 free rune pages. And I would absolutely recommend not buying runes until you get to level 20, because at level 0 you get tier 1 runes, at level 2, not 2, sorry, at level 10 you get tier 2 runes, and then at level 20 you become able to purchase tier 3 runes. And the tier 3 runes are essentially the best out of all of them, and since there's no real point of buying the lower tier runes, it just makes you weaker in the long haul. And as of now, there's also no buyback system instituted into the game, so there's not even a way you can sell the runes back for some amount of IP, so most likely you're not going to get runes until level 20, which is when you can get the tier 3 runes. There are 4 different types of runes. There are marks, seals, glyphs, and quintessences. Marks are usually offensive stats, and they're also referred to as reds because that's the color that they are. Seals are also referred to as yellows, and they give defensive stats like armor and whatnot. Glyphs give have things to do with magic, so magic resistance, magic penetration, magic damage, things like that. Quintessences give any number of stats. They can give movement speed and a lot of different things that are, some of them are not even available in the other runes. So this is what a rune page looks like. You see you have your available runes over here, your rune page that you actually have in the center, your the stats that your rune page gives on the right side, and all the available rune pages you have at the top. This is my rune page set. I have 14 rune pages because I play a lot, and if you get to the highest level, you're going to want to have a lot of rune pages, because that way you can select the rune page that perfectly fits each situation. And while not having the perfect rune page isn't great, there's a lot of there's like 2 or 3 rune pages that will cover 90% of your situations in a fairly decent manner, and I'm going to go over those next week. The most common marks that you can get are probably armor penetration, magic penetration, and flat attack damage. Those are the armor penetration and the flat attack damage are mostly seen on attack damage champions. Usually it's mostly flat attack damage, but depending on the build, armor penetration can also work, and also the champion. If you want to know which is better for your champion, you might want to look at a build that you can find online, and magic penetration is usually common on most AP champions. Sometimes you see attack speed reds, which is fairly common in jungling scenarios. So if you have a page that's dedicated entirely to jungling, a lot of junglers do well with attack speed reds. Armor reds are seen mostly on supports, and since a support doesn't really scale with AD, magic penetration, armor pen, anything like that, they'll just go for armor reds because it makes them more tanky. Those you're not probably going to buy armor reds unless you really like supporting, or until you get to a really high level when you just have IP to throw away. Magic resist reds are common on, not actually common, but sometimes seen in extremely high level mid lane play when it's an AP versus an AP. So it'll essentially make you a slightly bit more tanky, but it's really hard to utilize those properly, so I would not recommend a lower level player to get magic resist reds. I don't even use them, so. Seals, your most common seals that you're going to see are armor, most likely in like 90% of the scenarios. Armor yellows are like the way to go. If you're going in an AP versus AP page, you're probably going to want to go mana regen just because if you know you're going to be in an AP versus AP scenario, the armor doesn't actually help you that much. Some other yellows you're going to see are health per level if you're going on like a Vladimir in an AP versus AP lane, or even like Shen sometimes in AP versus AP. Health regen yellows can work if you're going for kind of a sustain game. It works in some champions. It's really hard to decide, and that's kind of higher level. And then gold generation quints, and yellows, sorry. If you're going to play an extremely passive support, usually a Soraka, and you know that you're not going to be able to get hit by anything, and you're just going to stay back and heal, gold gen quints can actually be very good. For blues, the most common is going to be magic resist, either flat or scaling. Usually you're going to see flat magic resist, and that's going to be good on APs, AD carries, top laners, and everything like that. Scaling MR is probably better for junglers, since the earlier levels where flat MR is a lot better than scaling MR, junglers are usually fighting jungle creep camps, and so they're probably not going to be interacting with APs very often. And usually when they run into the jungle, they're going to have enough HP where it's very difficult for the AP champion that they might be ganking to burst them down. So they don't really have to worry about the magic damage until higher levels, so that's why you can sometimes see scaling MR on jungle pages. But flat also works very well in those scenarios. Some of the more uncommon, you're going to see cooldown reduction, which would probably be more common in the support. That's going to be, again, passive. Mana regen can work on an AD carry that's high mana, like an Ezreal or maybe a Corki, and you know that you're going against the physical damage, like maybe an Ashe or a Caitlyn. If you know you're going against like a Tristana, or someone that does a lot of magic damage early game, you probably don't want to go for the mana regen blues, simply because that's going to put you very susceptible to damage in lane. And AP per level, you sometimes see people running on AP champions in mid lane, but I would much recommend flat MR, because the little extra damage you do from AP per level will be infinitely less than the damage that the enemy takes lower because of the magic resistance they have on their blues. So you're going to do less damage in lane, you're going to lose trades easier, so you're going to probably be putting yourself very far behind, and the AP that you get from AP per level isn't really worth the stuff that you lose from not being as strong in lane. So the most common quints that you're going to see, there's actually a lot of quints that you can take. You can take movement speed quints, which are very good on junglers that gank a lot, as well as some top lanes that don't have a dash, like Garen maybe can get away with movement speed quints, but you don't want movement speed quints at top lane. You'd rather have something like the flat health regen quints, which are actually very good. I didn't actually fully realize how amazing they are until I was looking up the stats for this episode, and it's a lot of health regen. It's a lot more than you'd expect. You get 8.1, I believe, health per 5 if you have 3 health regen quints. Flat attack damage or armor pen quints are very good when you are an AD carry or someone that does a lot of physical damage. And flat AP ability power is probably what you're going to go for if you're on an AP champion. The flat health quints, some people run flat health quints, but I honestly would highly recommend that you do not take flat health quints unless you're somehow afraid of getting absolutely 100%ed to 0 in very small amount of time, because I did the math and it takes 41 seconds for the health regen from flat health regen quints to surpass the flat health that you get from the flat health quints. So essentially, after you take damage, you have to be at 41 seconds. You have to be lower than max HP for the flat health regen quints to do more than the flat health quints. So I would absolutely point you towards flat health regen as opposed to flat health. So masteries, you have 30 different mastery points, and you have 3 different trees. You have 30 points, and you unlock 1 point every level. So masteries can be changed in champion select and whatnot. So if you're not level 30, by all means, go ahead, put mastery points in however you think is best. because there's no penalty if you mess up masteries. You can always just return the points. Um, each mastery tree has different levels. So here's a tier 1 thing, and after you put 4 points into the tier 1, you can unlock tier 2, and after you have 4 points in tier 2, you can unlock tier 3, and etc. until you get to the last point, which requires 20 points in the tree. And of course, the higher tier the stats get, the stronger that they are. So usually you're going to see the split into 21 and that 21 into one main tree and then 9 into a separate off tree. So like a high damage champion would go 21 offense and then 9 either defense or utility depending on what they plan on doing. And a very tanky champion that doesn't really focus on doing damage can go 21 to defense and then put 9 points into maybe offense to get the extra penetration or utility to get extra mana regen or movement speed and whatever. So usually if you want to know which masteries you should go, you can just look up a build and the build for the champion that you're going to play, and that will probably tell you exactly what masteries you want to take and whatnot. So yeah, that's everything for this episode, I believe. So thanks. I'll see you soon.